With only 9 months to the August 2017 polls, the ruling Jubilee coalition and the opposition CORD are locked in a bitter dispute regarding the involvement of the outgoing Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commissioners in preparations for next year's elections. Tonight on Spotlight 2017, KTN News reporter Murimi Mwangi delves into the IEBC workload and interrogates the feasibility of IEBC conducting party primaries for the Jubilee Party and also making adequate preparations for the 2017 general election.
It was the close to 1 month of public demonstrations against the commissioners of the electoral agency IEBC that kick-started the long process to the enactment of the Election Laws Amendment Act in September. 2 months later, a bitter dispute has erupted between the ruling Jubilee government and the opposition CORD over some grey areas in the recently enacted law, which seemingly allow the outgoing IEBC commissioners to continue overseeing preparations for the 2017 general election before the entry of their successors.
Some of the retired commissioners have been holding informal meetings with the Deputy President and the Cabinet Secretary responsible for ICT to block the full and comprehensive implementation of the Election Laws Amendment Act of 2016.
The biggest problem these days they're facing is one William Ruto. You know, in the morning they drink William Ruto, at night they dream William Ruto. I am telling IEBC on their face, the Secretariat and the current commissioners, that you should not be intimidated by court.
I'm engaging with Treasury for that. IEBC recently recruited 6 firms to compete for a tender to audit the voters' register, a move which court says breaches the electoral law. But Jack Tumwa, a former commissioner at the defunct Election Commission of Kenya, argues that it is illogical to blame the IEBC, as the Joint Parliamentary Select Committee never indicated whose role it was to vet and shortlist the audit firm.
IEBC should stall every exercise that is currently being undertaken in regard to the Elections Laws Amendment Act 2016 until the new commissioners have been duly appointed.
So IEBC is independent. And political parties, including Jubilee, ODM, Wiper, call them, they cannot purport to influence any decision of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission.
But with court demanding for the procurement of tamper-proof 2017 elections technology from certified companies of impeccable international reputation, analysts argue the IEBC could be facing its most trying moment with tight timelines to beat. A situation which observers say could be complicated by a recent request by the Jubilee Party for the IEBC to oversee its party primaries, which have to be concluded by May next year.
The earliest you should be doing an election in this country, if you go by the methodology, methodical, systemic schedule, you'll be talking at the end of 2017, early 2018.
The people of Kenya say the elections will be held on the second Tuesday of every 5th year. So without amending that constitution, and you actually will need a referendum to amend that particular article in the constitution. You cannot change the date of the elections.
But a recent demand by the Jubilee Party for Treasury to fund the party primaries could throw the IEBC into a spin, as it is already demanding for 40 billion shillings for the 2017 elections. Pundits argue the Jubilee Party has some explaining to do on why Treasury should fund its primaries when the audited accounts of the defunct TNA and URP show that the two parties transferred a total of 283 million to the Jubilee Party, money largely earned from the political party's fund, which is also financed by the Treasury.
IEBC must be corrected first, and it must focus on its core mandate of supervising the general elections. Political parties must deal with their own agenda.
It will be a budget almost similar to the budget of holding an election, because you are doing party primaries across the country. You will require the same amount of polling agents, you will require the same amount of returning officers.
In all the democracies, do your own research. Political parties' primaries are funded by a specific budget line from the exchequer, from the taxpayers' kitty.
As the 5 interviewees for IEBC chair prepare to meet the selection panel starting Monday next week, a key question will inescapably be how they intend to redeem the image of the IEBC in the wake of the growing suspicion between the country's two main political camps. Murimi Mwangi, KTN News in Nairobi.